Lord. Welcome everyone to today's workshop. Today is all about learning how to love ourselves better and how to receive love from those who want to try to show their love for us in our lives. Now, I know that Valentine's Day is coming up, and that with it brings up a lot of emotions and feelings. Maybe some of us are really looking forward to it. Maybe some of us not so much. And so with that, we have a little bit of time to figure this out inside of our headspace and try to figure out, okay, well, what is it about this day that does or doesn't bring us joy and love and affection and all of that stuff? Yes. And I love how Anna put in the chat, needs are not neediness. Exactly. And we're going to be talking about that in our workbook today. So again, everyone, go ahead and grab a copy of your workbook. Go ahead. It is in the chat. If you're watching this on replay, it should be anywhere else that I have dropped this video. Otherwise, be sure to reach out and make sure that you grab it because the workbook is essential in following along with this. If for some reason, right, you can't follow along in the workbook, you can't write it down right now. When we have our moments where some of us are writing, I just want you to think about it. Maybe you're even re-listening to this later on and you're just walking along in nature, listening to this workshop. Just try to think about some of the answers then. So I'll go through them as we do. I want you to try to write them down if you can. So I want to start us off with a grounding. I know I always need a good grounding anyway. So what I want us to do is we're going to get ourselves grounded and then we're going to open up our workbooks onto these three main questions. Let me show them. So even as I'm starting this grounding with us right now, I want you to be thinking about these questions. So as we're arriving in this moment, we're going to be looking at what word or phrase comes to mind. We're going to be looking at what we hope to get out of tonight's workshop and what our body needs right now. So let's all settle in. Let's take a nice big deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouths. And I want you to just get settled into your body. Feel the love radiating. See where you feel that love in your body. See if you can feel it in your chest or your stomach, maybe your shoulders. Being conscious of your breath as you bring the air into your body and releasing the stress out. I want you to notice where your body is being supported. Maybe on your chair, on your couch, in your bed. You can do this while you're walking. Just feel where your feet are supported on the ground. You can do this while you're sitting at your desk. You can even ground yourself while you're driving because it's just about getting your body in a place to get ready. I'm going to turn the music back on. You guys can let me know if you want that higher or lower. What I want us to do right now is in our workbooks, there's a question. What word or phrase comes to mind when you think about love and connection right now? Let's fill that out. What word or phrase? If you want to, you could drop it in the chat too. What word or phrase comes to mind when you think about love and connection? I love that, Lynette. Safety, happy. Oh, struggle. I love that truth in that, Anna. That's beautiful. What is a word that comes to mind when you think about love and connection? Struggle. Do you hear that realness? Peace. Love that. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger so I can show it a little bit more. And then we can't see the whole thing. Let's see. There we go. All right. Now, what are you hoping to get out of tonight's workshop? Let me know what you think. What are you hoping to get out of tonight's workshop? Write that down. Oh, loss is a beautiful feeling. You feel lost when you think about love and connection. That's beautiful, Colleen. That's really real as well. I really like how we have a balance between all of these. Oh, Anna wants to get motivation and clarity out of tonight's. Oh, I like that. Motivation and clarity. Yeah. Maybe some of you are like, I didn't really care about the workshop. I just kind of wanted to hang out with the ladies tonight. Good. Put that down. More understanding of what love should be. Yes, I love that. I'm going to add that in. More understanding of what love should be. That's beautiful. Growth. Oh, I love that, Sabrina. That's really nice. Growth. Yeah. Keep going with those if you guys want to. I just also want to know, what does your body need right now in order to feel safe, seen, and secure in this moment? Okay. What does your body need right now? What kind of... Oh, patience. Beautiful. A hug. Oh, I love that. Let's give a hug. If you guys want to virtually give a hug to Lynette as well, a hug. Some sort of step forward to healing. Yeah, that's what you're hoping to get out of tonight's workshop. I love that. Like a next step. I think that's so important. Reassurance. Yes, I'd love that. You need reassurance right now to feel present. Any particular type of reassurance, Colleen? Like reassurance that you're in the right place, reassurance that you're not broken, like you can learn this stuff, and you can absolutely heal. Well, maybe there's a different type of reassurance you're even looking for. Would love to be able to give that to you. That I'm not wasting my time. Yeah. Reassurance that you're not wasting your time. I love that. And the best part about that is anything it is that we do, even if it's staying in a relationship that maybe not's best for us, even if it's coming into a workshop, even if it's going into work, even if it's having to just go out and do some errands, nothing is technically a waste of time because everything is a lived experience. And one of the things I teach about so much is how important experience and integration is in our lives. So beautiful, beautiful job. All right. I love some of these. Meditation, support hugs. I'm going to write them all down. These were so good. All right. Now, let's go into section 1. Any questions real quick on the opener just before we go on? Feel free to raise your virtual hand, or I can see you if you don't know where your virtual hand is. You can always unmute if you need to. I always just want to check in before we move on to the next section. So that way, if you have any questions as they're coming up and you're like, oh, Jen, wait, hold on, I'm not sure, just let me know. I will always wait before we move on. But let's go ahead and move into the next section. Let me go ahead and pause the music for right now so I can teach you guys a little bit of stuff. Let's see. Where are we? I lost my place. All right, so we've written down what we want to get out of this, what we're hoping tonight. So as we're writing down, I want you to really just kind of be in the moment with us here tonight. Just really make sure you know that I don't want this to be work. This isn't homework. I don't want this to be hard. Like I said, if you just want to follow along by just being here with us and you just want to think about it in your head, that's great. This is all completely up to you what you want to get out of today's workshop. And as we move into the different sections, I just want you to remember that the questions are all just guideposts. They're just ways for you to understand and observe and experience your life a little bit more. If any of the questions are too much or they cause inside of you any sort of reaction that's making you want to like shut down or cry or just, I hate that feeling, that's okay. We just skip it. Totally skip it. You can write down, you can even like literally, where are we at right now? You could like put something down here and you'd be like, I hate this question. Great, do it. Because this workbook is just all about getting you to help out your own healing journey. But if ever there's too much resistance, I always want you guys to remember that you're in full control over your body and over the process that we're doing today. It's just about giving you a space to be able to explore, have kind of a self-aware, thoughtful space to intellectualize what's going on for you. So let's see. I want to know, I want to express first that one of the first steps that we have to learning how to get our needs met, to learning how to be loved, is that needs do not make us needy. Okay. So for so many women, it's not necessarily that they don't know what they want, right? I know a lot of women that are like, oh, I know I like Lynette was able to say, hey, I need a hug. It's that we have learned to relate to our wants a little bit too carefully, right? We minimize them too much. We manage them internally. We question them before anyone even gets a chance to respond to them. And over time, this can turn into a habit of doubting our own desires. But our desires, our needs, our wants, they're not a flaw. It's information. It tells us what's important to us. It tells us where we want connection, where we want it to deepen, where we want more of it, where we want less of it. It gives us important data about what helps us feel close and safe and emotionally nourished in these relationships. And that's what tonight is all about. So, we are going to walk through 3 shifts that change how love feels in your body and in your relationships. And then you'll see each of these reflected in your workbook as we go along. So, first, we're going to explore wanting more without shame, learning how to recognize and name your desires without immediately minimizing or judging them in the process. And then, second, we are going to practice asking clearly and confidently so that way your needs don't get lost in an apology or an explanation. And then lastly, we're going to talk about receiving love as it arrives. So learning how to let care and effort actually land instead of brushing past it or pushing it away and say, no, it's no big deal. So before we move on, let's see. Um, let's see. No, we already did that one. What does your body need? So we're there. Great. So most women learned early on how to be easy to be around, right? Does that resonate with anyone? Like, oh, I want to be low maintenance, you know? They learn how to be helpful and understanding, emotionally perceptive, low maintenance. This wasn't taught in one direct conversation. It's not like this is what we're taught to do. It's all of these little things in our life that and reinforce this throughout as we go on. So we get praised for being flexible, for being go with the flow. We get approval for not asking for too much and relief when we don't make things complicated. So over time, we become really good at sensing what others need and being very practiced at moving ourselves out of the way in order to get there. Is that resonating with you guys? Is that like that people pleasing mechanism, the part where we kind of mold ourselves, where we become a doormat? And that adaptation often becomes part of our identity. So being the one who understands, being the one who doesn't push, being the one who can handle things on her own and doesn't need to ask for help. And while those qualities are strengths, they can also quietly shape how we relate to our own desires. So, somewhere along the way, wanting reassurance, consistency, effort, affection, emotional presence, emotional connection, it started to get questionable. Wanting more time together felt like asking for too much, like, oh no, I'm too needy. Or wanting clarity felt like you're being controlling. So instead of saying, hey, babes, I want more connection, instead we're saying, no, it's fine. We're fine. I'm fine. I don't need anything. I'm good. So instead of naming disappointment, we talk ourselves out of it. We tell ourselves it's not that big of a deal. We rationalize our behavior. We explain our desires away. And on the surface, everything looks calm and reasonable, but underneath, something else is starting to build. Resentment. And resentment, it doesn't usually come from asking for too much. It comes from asking for nothing, but then hoping that it'll be noticed. How many of you do things for so many other people? You can sense when they need something. But then the minute you need something, you don't ask for it, but you get really pissed off when they don't notice. I know I'm like that sometimes even still. It's because of how often we can jump at anyone else's needs that we don't think about our own. So when a desire doesn't have a place to be expressed, it doesn't just disappear. It shows up later And it shows up as resentment, as distance, as an irritation that feels out of proportion. It's a quiet sadness that's hard to name and it just starts to become unseen when technically it's still present. I hope that's making sense. And this is why it's so important to separate the idea of needs from the idea of neediness. Two totally different things. Needing emotional connection does not mean you are insecure. It does not. It means you are human. It means that you love emotional connection. Humans are wired for connection. Now, some of us need it more than others, and that's okay. Emotional closeness, consistency, reassurance, and care, these are not overindulgences. They are fundamental relational nutrients. And neediness is often misunderstood. It's it's not about just having needs. It's about outsourcing your sense of worth or stability to someone else. All right. So needs, on the other hand, are what allow relationships to function honestly and can in connection with one another. They give the relationship information about how to care for you. So it gives us information how to care for him and then how he could care for you. So when a woman treats her needs as embarrassing or excessive, she often internalizes this idea that love has to be earned through self-restraint. She learns to monitor herself. She learns to manage her expectations instead of communicating them. And over time, that's when we start to become very skilled at adapting to less than what we actually want. And this doesn't happen because we lack confidence or emotional intelligence. It happens because we learned that desire carries risk. Risk of being seen is too emotional. Risk of being disappointed. Risk of being rejected. That's a big one. So minimizing our desire becomes a form of self-protection. But as we know, there's a cost to that protection, isn't there? Suppressing our desire doesn't make you easier to love. It actually makes you harder to get to know. It creates a gap between who you are and what you allow yourself to express. And that gap becomes the very thing that makes relationships feel unsatisfying. So when you start to treat desire as information instead of a flaw, something important really starts to change. You stop arguing with yourself about whether you're allowed to want what you want, and you stop judging your longings before you even give them a language. You begin to approach your inner world with curiosity instead of criticism. Your desire becomes a signal rather than a verdict. So desire for more time together doesn't mean someone is failing. It means connection matters to you. All right, so make sure I really understand that. A desire for more time with him doesn't mean he doesn't love you. It doesn't mean he's failing. It doesn't mean he doesn't have time for you. It just means that connection matters to you. And a desire for reassurance, it doesn't mean that he's being dishonest or you're being weak. It just means that safety matters to you. A desire for consistency, it doesn't mean that you're demanding or he's incredibly inconsistent. It just means stability matters to you. So once we really start to understand that no one here is the villain or is right or wrong, we could start to see how important this information truly is. And this is the moment where many women realize that they've been spending a lot of energy managing their wants instead of just listening to them. They've been negotiating themselves down instead of standing in their truth. And that realization can feel both tender, but also empowering at the same time. Because when you stop minimizing your desires, you don't suddenly become demanding. In fact, kind of the opposite happens. You become clearer, more grounded. You become more honest with yourself first, which is the foundation for an honest connection down the road with others. And this is where wanting without shame begins. Not with dramatic declarations or ultimatums of, I want to hug, so you better hug me or else we're going to get a divorce, right? It doesn't come from that. It comes from being able to name it internally first. Notice what you want instead of judging it. And then that's where the real connection starts. So let's check out the workbook right now. Here we go. Let's start looking at what we want. Think about something you've wanted recently, but you didn't fully name or allow yourself to want. What was it? I'm going to turn our music back on. We're going to explore. what was something recently you wanted? Maybe with your family, with your partner. You wanted more communication. Beautiful. Now, let's do that one. I wanted more communicate. Oh, I love that. I wanted more connection as well. Connection is a good one. Now, how did you minimize or talk yourself out of that desire? Let's look at communication. How would you have talked yourself out of that? Oh, I already asked for too much communication yesterday. Maybe, oh, I'm too much. I don't want to bring this up again. He gets mad when I talk about stuff like this. Maybe we want more connection and we say, no, I asked for too much connection last week. I don't want to do it again. No, if I ask for too much connection, I'll push him away. Yeah, let's look at that emotional safety, Colleen. That's a good one. You wanted emotional safety. How did you minimize that emotional safety? I see here you checked out. Maybe you say it's no big deal. And then this is a big one. If we want to move on to here, tell me if I'm going too fast or too slow for you guys, as always. What words or thoughts did you use in this moment? So that you wanted to feel emotionally safe. So you go to your partner and you're like, hey, I'm feeling really unsafe right now. Oh, but you know, I mean, it's no big deal and it's not about you. And you know what? Never mind. It's not a big deal. Or maybe you say, hey, I really want to talk to you. I haven't talked to you all week. Can we like talk on the phone tonight? And you think you want to say that, but as soon as you start doing it, you're like, no, that's going to make me too high maintenance and I'm going to push him away if I ask for that. So instead, I'm just going to say, oh, no, everything's fine. And we just accept the bare minimum. Yeah, exactly. Anna says, I feel like it will push them away further, as they will say that I am being too much or too needy, and I'm asking too much of them. Yeah, and Colleen says, I just tend to not say anything at all. That's exactly how. So how do you minimize it? How do you downplay it? By not saying anything at all. Do you see that? Oh, they wouldn't understand anyways. Love that. And so these very simple things of just wanting connection, just wanting to hang out with our friends, just wanting to be connected to another loved one. We push it away and we push it away. Because we think, oh, they wouldn't understand anyways. They'll reject us. They'll think I'm being too needy. They'll think I'm too much. And those are all the ways that we're minimizing our own needs and wants. It's a very big difference between wanting that stuff and understanding that we have a right to have them be met. And also, and this will be the big one, and we're going to move on to this in just a bit, noticing the stories around what we want and stuff. Yeah, the music is quite lovely. I will be rejected, yeah. What's key here, as we move forward, is I want you to remember, we can ask all day, every day for what we need. But what's actually happening in the disconnect is we expect them to then meet it. That's where we're disconnected here. That's where things are going off. I can ask you for a glass of water. That doesn't mean you have to give it to me. And that doesn't mean you don't love me if you don't. So I want to check in here with the stories now. Let me make this bigger again. Let's look at here. When I notice this desire, what story do I tell myself about it? The good one, there was a good one I think Kay had, which was they wouldn't understand it anyways. That's a story, right? Because we don't know that for certain. We can't with 100% certainty know that they wouldn't understand it. That's a story we're telling ourselves. Maybe it's like what Anna said, I'm asking for too much. Here's a good one. I haven't seen this one yet, but I know this one resonates with me a lot. I should be grateful for what I have. I think there was someone in group yesterday that was like, oh, I know other people have it worse than me. And I was like, oh, no. Trust me when I say someone has it worse than that person who has it worse than that person who has it worse. Are we living, breathing, having air in our chest? Then yes, but that doesn't mean we always have to be grateful for everything. So what's your version of the story? What's your story you're telling yourself? He doesn't care about me. He wouldn't understand. I shouldn't need this much anyways. I haven't done enough to deserve to ask for this. That's a big one. Now, let's dive a little deeper. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's put that one for here right now. Let's just say he doesn't care, because I like to have an example. Oh, I don't deserve to feel this way. Yeah, you don't deserve to feel this way. That is the truth. That is not a story. That is the absolute truth. If I treated this desire, so let's go back up here, connection. We'll just stick with connection. If I treated this desire as valid information instead of a flaw, if I knew I deserved to feel happy and healthy and loved in my connection, what might it be telling me about what matters most to me? If I treated wanting a hug as a valid piece of information in my body, what does it tell you about what matters most to you? Knowing that you are enough. That's beautiful. Let's say I love hugs. What do you think that says about me? Do you guys know about the 5 love languages? Now, they're like problematic in general, and I could like go on a whole diatribe about them, but they're very good and for a lot of reasons, because it does teach us that we have all different languages. If I love a hug, touch, exactly, Lynette, yeah. That teaches me that I love hugs. That I love touch. Hugs too. Yeah, I love that, Colleen, that this is what I need to do right now. Exactly. So if we took it outside of needs, let's say, and we took it into just like, I love a good water analogy, and I just have my cup of tea here, and I'm just like, hey, can I have some water? Hey, Sabrina, can you get me some water? What is that telling me? Is that telling me like, oh my God, Jen is so needy? Jeez. Why is she always asking for shit? Gosh. No, it would probably teach me what? That I'm thirsty? Yeah. That I haven't had water in a little bit? Maybe it's probably more like a cup of coffee is what I would ask you guys, because I always do a cup of coffee. I go to someone's house. So I go to a friend's house and I'm like, hey, do you guys have any coffee? And I learn now they don't drink coffee. Heathens, I know, trust me. But I learned now that I have to go get my own coffee on my way to her house, or I need to have already drank my coffee before I get there. Does that make me needy that I like coffee? No. No, I really like coffee. It makes me feel good. Wakes me up. It's great for my ADHD. And if they want me to play a board game until like midnight, I'm going to need coffee. So, and sometimes she gets me coffee, sometimes she doesn't. Does that mean she loves me or doesn't love me as a friend because she does or doesn't get me coffee? No. I want us to look at anything the same way. The feelings that we have inside of us, the needs that we want all of a sudden, if we want him to call us, if we want him to text us good morning, if we want him to stop texting us good morning, both needs are warranted. If we want hugs, if we want less hugs. Some women cannot stand to be touched. They really don't like PDA. Don't hold my hand out in public is a need. We are allowed to ask for any of those. It just tells us what we need about ourselves. That being said, we still have to be okay that they're not always going to meet it. I like this. Anna says, I feel like the needy is more dependent on what it is. Coffee is small and easy. Emotions are hard. Says who? That's the story. The story is emotions are hard for many people. The difference is coffee is not small and easy. My friend never has coffee in the house and it makes her gag to smell it. That's not small and easy. But that's the story we've told ourselves because we create in ourselves this story that our emotions are too much, that our emotions are too hard for other people. I know so many of us struggle with emotions, and it's not our fault. I want to be very clear. This is not our fault. This is a society that has put this on us for so long that our emotions are too much. There's a bigger structural issue going on here. Let's be very clear about this. And also, what can we control ourselves, right? So I like to see what can we fix within ourselves first. And then maybe if we can kind of fix that first and we can see, wait a second, this world is kind of full of shit. I'm allowed to want a text, good morning. That's fine. It's also okay for him to say no. That's the difference. Do you want to know? Here's I'm just going to take a slight side tangent off of this real quick because I think this is important. And I don't know if I go into this too much in the workshop, but I want to talk about this. The reasons why emotions can oftentimes be harder for other people than tangible things is because we expect them to meet those. So let's be very clear again. Wanting and needing something is very different than expecting. I can ask for a glass of water all day, every day. But as soon as I expect you to get me a glass of water, that is the difference between needy and needs. Neediness comes from a place of lack. Needs comes from a place of want and desire. Emotions are hard because they don't want to deal with it, and that's fine. So they don't have to deal with it. But why do you have to stop asking? Hey, I'm feeling really sad right now. I could use a hug. And somebody says, oh my God, seriously? It's not that big of a deal. What did that just teach us? If somebody were to say that to me, if I said to someone with my heart of hearts, imagine this. Imagine I just go up to Lynette and I say, Lynette, I'm so sad. Can I please have a hug? And Lynette's like, oh my God, you make everything such a big deal, Jen. It's really not that big of a deal. Calm down. That would teach me that Lynette is not a safe person to go ask for a hug now from. Lynette does not have the water that I need. She does not have my coffee. So what am I going to do before I go over to... But Lynette's so much fun. She goes to Disney with me. She has a great time with me. She'll buy me Mickey ears. I don't know. She buys me Mickey pretzels. I really want that Mickey pretzel. I get other needs met through Lynette. But Lynette can't give me hugs. She just doesn't have it in her. So I'm going to learn how to not ask Lynette for this thing, but she's taught me. But what's happening is we're constantly... Lynette's buying you Disney stuff. What's happening is we're constantly going back to the same source for water, right? It's like going to a sushi restaurant and then that's not true. I'm going to flip it on the other end. It's like going to a burger restaurant and asking for sushi. Actually, because sometimes the sushi restaurants do have burgers. Anyways, right? But it's like going into a sushi restaurant and then you're like really, really upset because they don't have cooked steak and baked potatoes. That's a little bit on us, isn't it? Okay. All right. I just noticed the time. I could talk on this stuff for hours. I really could. This is this is why stuff is so fun for me. So, if I treated this desire as valid information instead of a flaw, what might it be telling me? That I love hugs, that touch is important to me, that I really like coffee, that I want Disney pretzels, right? This is okay information. If you are going to your friends, oftentimes asking for connection and you want to talk a lot, then maybe it's teaching you love talking. Okay, McDonald's on one side and sushi on the other. Now that does sound amazing. See, this is what we're expecting in our friendships, and unfortunately, it just doesn't exist. I think this is what we want, a relationship that is sushi and McDonald's on the same side. Maybe one day you'll find it, but it doesn't. It's very rare. I'll be honest. Playfulness, that's beautiful. I like playfulness and comfort. Here's the truth. Sometimes, shocker, I'm too playful for people. Take things a little bit more seriously, Jen. It's not so like, why do you laugh all the time? Why do you have to make jokes? I probably make jokes all the time because it's my defense mechanism from childhood, right? But I'm a very playful person. It's a high need. So there's a high chance if you're here in this community, in this group, and you like me as your coach, you probably also like playfulness and you don't mind my cussing. That's part of that. Yeah, Anna, you're very playful. I know. That's why we all get along a lot. And someone else might come into this group and I have literally had the feedback of being like, that was just wasn't serious enough for me. Gorgeous. Thank you for telling me that. In that moment, she wasn't wrong and I wasn't wrong. She needed something different than I couldn't give her. That's what needs are all about. That's what being able to communicate that. So if our desires and our wants are just information and not judgment, imagine how that changes everything. So now how does it feel in your body to consider that your desire makes sense? Just like check in with yourself. Let's do a quick check in before we move on to section 2. What does it feel like in your body to consider that every single desire you have is valid? Every single one. Let's be very clear. There's a very big difference between what I'm saying. I'm not saying anyone is going to meet those at all. That's a different topic of conversation. But you are allowed to want what you want. Oh, I love that. Free, relief, exciting, light, beautiful. Goodness, I love this so much. Now that we understand, and only when we understand, that we can have whatever we want. I can want my sushi and my McDonald's in the exact same restaurant, damn it. But it's not always going to happen. Now, currently in Vancouver it is, so that's where we're all going to go next. But like I want to go to Universal and Disney at the exact same time. Like somehow if there would be a way for me to combine those two theme parks and also make them closer to me, that'd be great. Thanks. I don't want to have to drive 7 hours to get down to it. But that's not always going to be the case. We can want what we want. That's no problem. Now, how do we communicate? So, how do we communicate? Once we figure out, okay, my desires are wanted. I'm allowed to want whatever I want. That doesn't make me too much. It doesn't make me too needy. It doesn't make me hard. It doesn't make me difficult. It doesn't make me rejected. Oh, I love that. Validated. Validated is one of my favorite words, Colleen. I love that. So now that we understand all this stuff, let's talk about asking for what we want. All right. Most women, when we finally figure out what we want, we also then struggle to say it out loud, right? So we know what would help us feel closer and steadier and more connected. Maybe morning text or daily phone conversations or just a hug and a kiss before we go to bed at night. It's just something like that. We know that this would make our relationship feel better and more nourishing. But the moment we consider actually saying it, our nervous system kind of like steps in and we start editing. Our words start to minimize what we really want. Our request gets padded. Our ask turns into a suggestion. And somehow, by the end of the sentence, the original desire barely resembles what we even wanted in the first place. So, for example, if I really wanted water, but all of a sudden I'm really scared and I go up to Kelly and I'm so scared of Kelly right now. And I'm just like, oh, Kelly, can I maybe, like, if it's not a big deal, could you maybe just, like, if you have any sort of liquid, do you think you could just, I mean, okay, thanks. Kelly, do you know what I want? No. Like if I actually asked you that way, you'd be like, dude, I love you so much, Jen. I want to give it to you, but I have no idea what you just asked for. Instead, I'm just like, hey, Kelly, I'm like really thirsty right now. Do you have any coffee? And you could just be like, oh no, I'm so sorry. I don't keep coffee in the house. And I'd be like, okay, maybe I'll DoorDash some. Or hey, do you think next time I come over, you could have coffee? And you're like, no, it's not really in my budget right now, but you could bring some over if you want. But okay, cool, thanks. Do you see how now we're just communicating? And now again, I totally get what Anna's saying. Emotions feel harder, but I want to challenge that they're not. It's just what we've been made to believe that they are. And we've also been coming to other people with our emotions from a place of lack. Obviously, I know where else I can go get coffee. I know I can get coffee before. I know I've probably had some and I know where I can get some tomorrow. But if Kelly is the sole source of my love and connection, and I go up and I say to her, "Hey, I really need to have a deep talk with you. Do you have some time?" And she's like, "I'm so sorry. I'm on my way out the door." Well, I'm going to feel devastated. So I'm going to start learning how to not actually ask her for what I want because I'm so scared now. And that's not Kelly's fault. And it's not my fault. It's just what's been happening. So think about a want that you've had trouble asking for. Let me get back to here real quick. How do you communicate this want? I want us to think about this. So I'm just reading the chat as we're talking. Oh, wait, let me put my music back on so you guys can have some flavor while you're writing. How do you usually communicate this want? Think about a want that you've been asking for. Let me think about something I've been wanting for my husband. Flowers. I love flowers. But I've been feeling like, oh, if I ask him for the flowers, then it's not really like he got them for me. He doesn't want to get them for me. So I want him to want to get them for me. I don't want to just have flowers showing up at the doorstep every Friday because that doesn't feel the same. Okay, so the want isn't the flowers, is it? The want is actually, I want to be thought about. And to think about me while he's at the store. Oh, I love this, Colleen. This is exactly what I was looking for. I usually throw hints. Yes, because clarity creates connection. Are hints clear? If I was like, "Hey guys, oh, I'm really tired right now and I could really use a coffee." What if I just said that to you guys right now with a covert expectation that one of you was about to DoorDash me a coffee? That's a hint, isn't it? Oh, I'm really tired right now. I could really use a coffee. And then we get off of this and I'm like, those mother effers didn't get me a single coffee. Are you kidding me right now? Expectations. Yes. Mic drop, Paige. Hi, Paige. I don't know if I saw you come in. Honestly, honesty. But I think I ask for it defensively, like I don't expect it. Ooh, now you're bringing in another aspect, Kay. Thank you so much. I feel like I paid you to bring this up. Thank you. Okay. Exactly. When we come from a place of lack, like we wouldn't even expect it to happen. So, right, we talk over here like I'm going to ask for something with an covert expectation of you have to give this to me or else, right? That's coming up. Sometimes as well, we're asking with so much insecurity that we don't even expect them to even meet it. So we're kind of asking in a way of like, I mean, this is never going to happen, but I might as well ask. And that defensiveness, as you said, I think that's a great word for it. Passiveness sometimes is also another word people might use for that, is going to create a level of defensiveness in the other person sometimes. Because if it was like, same, like, Kay, can I have some water? But it's not like you ever have water, so why would I even ask? Ugh. You know, it's like, doesn't feel trusting or loving. So getting to a place, because there's a story behind there, right? Which is that story was they're not even going to know. Oh, and actually, I think that was your story from before, Kay. So this is great. I think we're finding your pattern, which I love. This is what this is all about. Remember, everything we learned tonight is information, isn't it? It's not a flaw. It's not a problem. You're not broken. It's just that this is what we're learning. And so we can already kind of see the pattern. Well, they're not going to be able to give it to me anyway. So what's the point? So I ask defensively. So if we're asking defensively, it means we're not going to get what we want. So what's preventing us from getting that met? Our own fears, right? Our own desires going on. I like this, Colleen. I want to be trusted again. How do I ask for that? Your need is to be trusted. Then there would need to be a co-collaborative space of what do they need to trust you? And can you listen to what they need at the same time? Because if you want to be trusted again, then I'm going to assume there was something that happened that broke that trust. And that's okay. It happens. So we need to be willing to say, I want to be trusted again. What do you need to trust me? And then we need to be able to meet their need at the same time. And this is why clarity creates connection. Because if we're able to clearly state that, of like, what is it going to take for you to trust me again? And they're going to say, I need you to not talk to this person ever again. Great, then I won't. Or I work with this person. There's nothing I can do, but I have to do it a little bit. What else? How else can we do this? Now we're co-collaborating. We can't get there unless we know that we're allowed to ask for it. And we know that we need that clarity to create the connection. So here's some patterns that we look at here. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Check off any of these that you see. And let me know if any of them that I didn't put on here, any of them work. Hinting, that's the one Colleen said. Over-explaining or justifying. I tend to over-explain a lot. Oh my gosh, okay. Here's a fun side story. So I learned this maybe like a couple years ago when I was learning how to heal. And I was watching my mom order not Starbucks, what's the Subway. I'm watching my mom order Subway. Okay, you over-explain a lot, Anna. Okay, then great. I want you to see if this resonates with you at all. So I'm watching my mother order Subway. And she has a reason. She's talking to the person at the other side, who, by the way, could give a shit. Just doing their job. They're just making a sub. They don't care. And she goes, oh, I really want whole wheat bread because I'm trying to eat less white flour. And then I really want provolone cheese because I've heard American cheese isn't real cheese. And then I really want turkey because I'm trying to get my protein in. And go ahead and give me some of the spinach leaves, not just the iceberg lettuce leaves, because spinach has more vitamins. And I want green peppers because I really like the crunch, but not too many because I don't like the flavor. Did anyone else notice that? What just happened there? Was there any need to give all of that information? I thought that was wild when I saw it happening in real time. And I realized that's where I get my over-explaining from, like justifying. I feel like I have to justify everything. But even down to the fact that my mom had to justify why she wanted green peppers on her sub at Subway. And again, the person on the other side of the counter doesn't give a shit. Doesn't care why you're getting green peppers. You're not that bad as my mom. Okay, that's good. But like when I saw that, I was like, that's such a good example to explain over-explaining. Now, again, like all things, the fact that I'm very good at over-explaining makes me really good at what I do now. Because I'm really good at being able to like listen to someone, hear what they're saying, and then, oh, let me explain in a different way. So even our tendency to over-explain just gives us more information. Not a big deal. But where does it come in handy? Where does it serve us? Where does it not serve us? These are the things. So we're just checking our patterns. Waiting until you're emotionally overwhelmed. I used to do that too. I go from 0 to 60. Why? Because I push and I push and I push and I push until all of a sudden I'm like, no. I used to think I was great at boundaries until I learned that I was very good at reactive boundaries, not proactive boundaries. Meaning I was very good at saying no, but only when I got to the point where it was a big ass no. Like, don't ever do that again. Versus I could have said, hey, do you think maybe we could just not say that in our conversation? Like, that's called a little tiny boundary. So that's waiting until you're feeling emotionally overwhelmed, right? So that's one. Saying it's fine when it's not. It's fine. Hey, is it okay if I cancel our plans on us this Friday? I know I've done it 3 other times in a row, but is that okay? Oh yeah, no, it's fine. Don't ever say it's fine if it's not fine. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm a little bit disappointed. I was really looking forward to actually hanging out with you, and this is the 3rd time you've done this. Is there anything you want to talk to me about? Did that scare anyone else even thinking about having to have that conversation? But that's what we need to be doing. Clarity, clarity, clarity. And then we have asking indirectly or jokingly. Yeah, I mean, I'm still very guilty of doing that a lot of times. But again, this is only if we get to a place where if by asking indirectly, we're just not getting what we want met, right? I will say, just for nuance, I do have kind of a rule, like a 3 strikes rule, where I indirectly hint or hope for things, but never in a place where I feel resentful or angry. So let's say I'm wanting flowers, and I'll be like, oh, the house is looking really bare lately, don't you think? But there's no resentment in that tone, if that makes any difference. So I just want to be very clear on the nuance of what I'm talking about here. So if I'm talking to my husband and I'll just make like a silly comment and I'll be like, well, There hasn't been any colorful flowers in the living room in the last couple of weeks. Wouldn't you say so? And he'd be like, well, I do say so, madame. We might have to fix that soon. And then in a couple days, I get flowers. That's a hint. That's indirectly. But I'm not doing it in a passive aggressive way. I want to be very clear on the difference between being able to joke because you feel regulated and joking because you're about to, like, throat punch a boy if he doesn't get you flowers. Very different vibes. Just let's be very clear on that. Okay. So which one of these shows up most for you guys? I see some of you talking. Lynette says, yeah, I over-explain. Anna says, yes, I do admit that if it's indirect, it sometimes is from despair, but sometimes, yeah, and that's the thing. So long as you know where it's coming from. How many times do I say our actions are neither secure nor insecure, right? Everything is the intent behind what we're doing. But if you jokingly wanted something and then someone was like, God, you're being so passive aggressive about that, you could be like, I could totally see why you thought I was being passive. That's not what I meant. My bad. Like, if we get defensive over someone calling us out, then there might have been a hint behind there. But if we're like totally fine and that's just who we are, sometimes that's okay too. So I love that. I love being able to kind of differentiate between I'm doing this because this is fun for me, or I'm doing this because I'm very angry right now. And if I actually said what I wanted to say, I'd be very pissed off. Very different thing. So great. All right, now let's real quick. Let me get into here. Okay, when I imagine asking clearly, what apology or softening phrase is coming out? So what is your kind of softening phrase, your minimizing phrase that tends to come out when you're asking? And I have some examples here. I know you might be busy. I know this might sound silly. I don't want to make this a big deal. I'm probably being too sensitive. I don't want to put pressure on you, but I don't expect you to actually do anything about this, but I know you have a lot going on, but you can always see here where the but's coming in. How about for you guys? Any one of these standing out to you more than the others? Or is there one that you have that I don't even have on this list? Oh, I like that one, Kay. I hate to say this, but yeah, that's a good one. I feel like I say all of them. Yeah, very true. And that right there, Anna, is part of like just observing and noticing. I love that. I usually make a suggestion instead of saying, hey, I want to do this, or hey, we should do this. I also sometimes I'm guilty of using a lot of we language, like, oh, we should plan a date night. I did not mean we. I meant you. It has been a long time since you took me out on a date, sir. You need to take me out on a date. And even I'm still learning that. Sometimes I definitely get indirect we language when that happens. Sometimes we language is great and it's a great way to talk to people. But if you're using it and then again, there's a resentment building up when you say, we should plan a date night. And then he goes, yeah, that's a great idea. Where do you want to go? And then all of a sudden I feel anger and resentment in my body for having to plan it again. I realized I didn't mean we. I meant you. The other royal we. Yeah. And that's just a really good way to get to know in your own body if what you're asking is coming from a place of abundance or a place of lack. Is it coming from a place of want and desire, or is it coming from a place of, if I don't get this, I will die, right? That's that place of lack. That's that feeling inside of our body. And it's just a good way to be asking yourself that question. This is why the more we get used to our body and the more we get to understand our somatic sensations, that becomes easier and easier as we go along. So now, let's do a quick practice. So we have the want. Let's see. For this one is like, I don't want to put pressure on you and I know you have a lot going on, but maybe we could hang out sometime. All right, so that was the example I used here. I want you to think of your want. Did anyone have an example? Was it like hugs? There's connection, communication. Write the want as you would usually think it. Like, hey, I know you're really busy after work, but it would really mean a lot to me if I could have a hug first. Something like that. I just want to know, like, it's no right or wrong. And sometimes the way we ask these, it's totally fine. It's just coming up with what is a slightly more direct way we could say this. And I want to teach us how to be more clear because I think so often we're indirect and we're not clear. So I want to teach us how to be more clear first, and then we can bring back in softening feminine language if we feel like it. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. So for this one, it's like, I don't want to put pressure on you, and I know you have a lot going on, but maybe we could hang out sometime. So imagine you're dating someone and you haven't heard from them in a little while, and you like really want to go on a date. And you just text them, you go, hey, I don't want to put pressure on you, and I know you have a lot going on, but maybe we could hang out sometime. Like, even if my friend said that to me, I would be put off by that. If my friends do text me that sometimes, and I'm like, stop it. You've now officially put more pressure on me by texting me that way, by the way. And I now have more going on because now I have to manage your emotions. See how that works? But now let's rewrite it without apology, without justification, without backstory. Imagine that you don't even need to explain yourself whatsoever. So imagine, let's just like talk friendship level. Let's say you have a friend, you want to hang out with them. So you could have texted, hey, I know you're really busy, but like I haven't seen you in a little while. It'd be really nice maybe if we could hang out. But like if you're really busy, it's okay. What if you just texted your bestie and was like, what's up, girl? You want to go out? Drinks Friday night, 8 o'clock, let's go. What would that feel like? What is the sentence that remains when you take out all of the apology, all of the justification, all of the backstory, all of the explanation? What do you get? I love this, Colleen. I want you to trust me. Yes. That's just so clear and direct. It's beautiful. I want to feel more connected. I want to go out with you this weekend. I've missed you. I want to feel more touch. Yeah. I want to feel your touch. I want you to touch me more. I want you to hold me. I mean, we can get a little bit over the top for just a hot minute, but a lot of times this happens in intimacy and sex and things like that, which is a lot of people have aftercare that they really want after they've been intimate. But a lot of times we don't know how to ask for that. And we're like, oh, well, maybe, after if we could maybe be held, or maybe if we could have this, instead of just like, hey, after, I want you to hold me for at least 10 minutes. And again, let's be very clear here. Just because we're asking, does that mean we're going to get it met? No. Are we always having that in the back of our minds as we're talking? Just because we're asking doesn't mean they have to do it. We are not demanding right now. We are not saying do this or else. That is an ultimatum. That is a demand. That is an expectation. What we are getting clear on right now is that our desires are deserving, and that in order to get them, the best possible way is to get clear on that. Yeah, this is good, Anna. I haven't talked to my bestie at all in a month, and I feel like I was chasing her, so I stopped engaging, but I'm afraid to say, let's go out. I don't trust myself to not be passive aggressive with my emotions since I have so much going on. And that's beautiful. That means you are intentionally choosing not to go out with her right now because you have a lot of feelings around that. That's good. And you're right, you might have been chasing her. I've definitely lost friendships once I leaned back and stopped chasing them and stopped making all of the plans. Because what I want right now is for my friend to make a plan. Let me have an example. I have a friend, and she does have this way of constantly texting me and being like, oh, I can't wait to hang out with you someday, but I know you're super busy. And I'm always usually like, yeah, as soon as you want to hang out, let me know. Like, that's how I kind of like put it back into her court. And she's like, then she'll say something back of like, oh, well, like, just tell me when you're free. And I'm like, great, I'm free this Saturday at 8 o'clock. What do you want to do? And it's like, I'm almost like calling her out on it. Like, I know her by now. Again, I get my needs met with her through other ways because people aren't perfect. And then she'll usually be like, oh, well, I can't do it that day. And I'm like, great, why don't you tell me some days back when you're free? Do you see how now I'm being very clear? I'm being very direct. There's nothing, I'm not even mad at her. I just know her by now. That like by the time I think here, if I like on a side tangent, I think she has her own wounding around not doing enough in our friendship. So she constantly has to feel like she has to text, but then put it project it onto me as if I'm the busy one. So once I kind of learned that about her, I realized like, oh, she just has her own thing going on. So I'll love her through it, but I won't get into the weeds with her on that. So instead, I just say, yes, just you tell me a date back. And then she'll say something, oh no, why don't you just give me another day? And I'll be like, you know what? I already gave you a day. So why don't you give me one next? See how I'm being clear and direct again? I'm not mad. I'm not mean. I'm not angry. I'm just clear and direct. That's what we want. That's the sentence that remains right there. So, how does this version feel in my body compared to the first one? I know for me, it always feels empowering. But I also added on there, it might feel nervous. Fear. Oh, I love that, Colleen. Nervous and confident at the same time. Yes, living in your and. That's my favorite thing. Not knowing what reply I will get is the realest response ever because we don't know and we won't know. We have to come in with full confidence that if we ask for this thing, they can say no. Then what? Right? That's the fear. That's the nervousness. And that's okay. Kay says, that's like when I see men at the dance club and they say, save me a dance. And I'll say, I'm open anytime. And they never ask you, right? Right, though? But like, what is that? And it's like, okay, save me a dance. You're like, yeah, I'm open. What are you? And then they don't. That's on them. They weren't clear and direct. See, their lack of clarity and directness meant they didn't get a dance either. No, because I mean, you could say, how about now if you want to, but if you don't feel like it, let them figure it out for themselves. If you want someone who's a little bit more clear and direct, or if you really want to dance, like if you're like, that's the higher need more than anything is to dance, you'd be like, I, there's something incredibly like feisty and sexy about being like, how about right now? Like, wait, let me check my dance card. Yep, it's free. Let's go. Right? Like, that feels really good. Because again, it depends on what's the need in that moment. But if your need is wanting them to be a little bit more direct about it, you can say, I'm open whenever you are. And then if they don't come back, that's because they're not being clear and direct. And then that prevented them from dancing with a beautiful, hot woman, which is like their loss. So we want to be able to be direct when we can. All right, optional follow-up prompt. What am I afraid would happen if I did ask for this clarity? This is something you guys can think about. But this is the fear here. We go into this more in depth, I know, inside of the academy, and we can talk about more of that later, maybe even like tomorrow if we want to. But this is the big fear. This is the wound. Well, I'm afraid if I ask for a hug and he says no, then he doesn't love me. I'm afraid I'm going to find out I'm not a priority to him. I'm afraid I'm going to learn he doesn't care about me. I'm afraid I'm going to learn that he doesn't want to meet my needs. That's a big one. I'm afraid of rejection. Yep. I'm afraid of the reply. And get even deeper. Maybe not for this one, Colleen, but like whenever it is, you know, a specific thing. So for example, if your request is, I want to be trusted, maybe the fear there is they're going to say, I can never trust you again. I mean, that's just the truth. That's just the realness behind it. And then we have to deal with that. Then we have to have the conversation. Say, okay, I understand. I did something that really hurt you. My desire is to get that trust back. In order for this relationship to work, I need to feel trusted by you. So how do we get there? And if they say, I'll never get there, then potentially the fear is the end of the relationship. I'm not saying this is going to be easy. We have to go there sometimes. Because when we live in this kind of limbo state where we're constantly afraid to get the thing that we want, to ask clearly for the thing it is that we want, and we also don't live with our wants and desires being met. So we live in this world where we're just kind of half-assing it. If these men who are, coming up to Kay being like, oh, hey, you want to dance sometime or whatever, however it is they indirectly kind of ask, maybe they're afraid that she's going to reject them. Maybe they're afraid she's going to laugh in their face and be like, I would never dance with you, you ugly pig. I don't think you would think this, Kay, but right? Like this is what they might be thinking. But see how their fears and insecurities are stopping them from having a good time? With clarity, and confidence comes enjoyment, fulfillment, satisfaction. When we can really get away from the fear of what is going to happen, we open ourselves up to so many more possibilities. Because if we are rejected, it doesn't say anything about us, not inherently who we are. It just talks about, okay, they couldn't meet us that. And that's why I love to go back to the idea of just water or coffee. Because if I ask you for a cup of coffee and you say I don't have any, it doesn't mean that you think I'm less than, or that you don't care about me, or that you don't love me. It just means you didn't have coffee at that time. That's what I want us to get to with our emotions, our wants, our needs, and our desires at the same time. All right, we are moving on to section 3. We are making good time. How are you guys feeling? Any questions coming up on section 3? All right. So we have talked about our desires and how they are wanted and warranted and deserving no matter what. It just doesn't matter. I don't care if you want, like, tall, dark, and handsome, 6 foot tall, 6'5", perfect man who makes $1 million a year. I don't care what it is that you want. Like, you can want whatever you want. And if you want to wait for it, fine. That's fine too. I'm happy to go with that. But it gives us the information. Well, why do you want that? What's going on? If you need a hug and a kiss before bed every night, it doesn't make you needy. It only makes you needy if you think your husband doesn't love you because he doesn't give it to you, right? That's the difference. That's when we're going to start communicating clearly. That's what we talked about in section 2, communicating clearly. But now let's say we're able to do all of this. Let's say we're able to understand that the things that we want are warranted, and the being able to communicate what we want clearly. I want to dance. I want your trust. I want a hug. But now what happens when they give it to us? Wait a second, what? Because that happens more often than you think. We're good. We ask. And they show up for us. And then all of a sudden, we're like, whoa, wait, I have to earn this. I didn't earn this. This isn't, wait, you're actually giving this to me? And we push it away. And we talk about this inside of the academy as having our needs buckets. And when we have those wounds that come up, they poke the holes in the buckets. And so it makes everything drain out, right? Hopefully that's making sense. If not, we'll get there soon in the modules. But that's what we're going to be talking about here, which is think of a time someone showed up for you. Let me make this bigger. Okay, so when we are asking for stuff to be met, oftentimes it doesn't show up exactly how we want it. And that can be confusing, and that's okay. But when it doesn't show up exactly how we want it, then there's most likely a covert expectation that was hiding behind the wings of our request. Right? I want coffee. Great. So somebody gives me black coffee. But what I really wanted was a vanilla latte with whipped cream and chocolate sprinkles on top. But they didn't communicate that clearly, so they gave it to me, and it's not exactly how it was. So I just want you to be thinking about a time someone showed up for you, but it wasn't exactly how you wanted or expected it. Think about that a little bit. And I want you to think about this unconscious habit of grading love. Okay? We measure it against what we imagined it should be, comparing what we got to what we hoped for. So we have this tendency to notice what's missing instead of what's present. And it happens so fast that we don't even realize we're doing it, right? Let's see. Yeah, Anna says, I wanted kindness and compassion. And because kindness and compassion can mean two different things to two different people, there's a high chance when they give it to you, it won't look like what you were expecting. So we're going to find the thing that we were missing. Colleen says, my husband shows up for me all the time. He thinks I want him to be clingy and always there. I was never a clingy person and I need space. It's nice when I see another avoidant woman show up because that's what I'm like in life. But there's a great spot right there. Let's say Anna's like, and I'm just going to use Anna's concept of kindness and compassion. Colleen's husband is assuming kindness and compassion means always being there. Colleen's idea of kindness and compassion is giving her autonomy and space. So who's right? Neither. Both. Exactly. Both are right. That's why we have to get even more clear when we ask somebody, can I please have kindness and compassion? They might be giving you what their version of kindness and compassion is. It's all in the details. Exactly. I love that. Yeah, Lynette says, if I wanted a hug or kiss and it wasn't actually felt like they wanted to give it back, it wasn't strong enough or passionate enough, has happened to me. Great, 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 great. Can we stop down here? You say you want, because this is the exact same thing that was happening to me with the flowers. You say you wanted a hug or a kiss. So they give you a hug and a kiss. But they wanted, I know she had to run away. I'm still going to talk. But you wanted it in a way where you wanted it differently. Right? Like it wasn't strong enough or passionate enough. So was it the hug and the kiss that you actually wanted? Or was it something else? So in my experience, what I noticed about myself was wanting the flowers, thinking this is my want. My want was the flowers. I want more flowers. So then he started bringing me home flowers every Friday after work, and I started feeling annoyed by those flowers. Right? I'm sensing in my body like, oh great, here comes the bog standard flowers he gets from Safeway every Friday again. So it really wasn't flowers I was wanting, was it? The flowers were the action that I had dictated would be the way that I wanted him to show me he loved me. What I really wanted in that moment was to be loved for, cared for, and thought about, that he would take time out of his day to go and pick something up for me that made him think of me, that was beautiful, that I liked, that he would bring home. That's a lot more, isn't it? But once I realized that, and because I'm in a healthy and secure relationship, I was able to communicate that to him. But I was able to say to him, hey, baby, I know I said I really wanted flowers, but I think I need to take that back because I'm not liking them much anymore. Can I explain to you more what I was thinking of? And I told him, and he was like, oh, okay. And now he surprises me on a random Tuesday with like a donut from my favorite donut stand or something. That's what I was wanting more. I was wanting to be thought of. I'd wanted to be desired. I wanted to be loved on. Do you see the difference between that and just flowers? So even that aspect of saying, so think of a time when someone showed up for you but wasn't exactly how you wanted or expected. That's what I would say. I'd say he got me flowers. But my immediate internal reaction was, I'm actually kind of annoyed. Why do they keep showing up every Friday and they look exactly the same from Safeway and he doesn't even take the time to take off the price tag? Is he even trying? God, can this man be any lazier? Do you hear what's the internal dialogue going on? So where did I feel tension, resistance, dismissal, or disappointment in my body? This is how we start to notice, oh, maybe that thing that we wanted wasn't exactly what we wanted instead. So we either have to allow people to show up for us the way they are going to show up for us, or we have to be even more clear on how we're explaining those details. Kelly says, when I met my ex-husband and he didn't care much for him, but his charm got to me. Yeah. Yeah, so you must have really liked his charm. Sometimes people can be quite charming, like, and there was something he definitely gave to you. Maybe that part of the charm made you feel wanted or loved or connected. But yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of things where he also didn't give to you. And so that's okay too. I love that. And Colleen says, I told my husband I needed him to be spontaneous. He ordered all these lacy underwear and I was like, WTF, this is... Yes. Colleen, thank you for giving me an excellent example. This is exactly what I'm talking about here. Think of a time when someone showed up for you. You said, be more spontaneous. He said, lacy underwear. And you were like, buddy, what the F? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes when we ask people for things, they are going to show up for us in ways that's not what we meant. But we have to understand this block, okay? Because there's two ways that we can go about this. I'm going to go into reflection 2 a little bit here now, too. When they get us this, there's two ways we can handle this. We can see the love and the devotion and the passion and the joy that came from them buying us, flowers and lacy underwear. Be like, oh, sweetheart, you tried. There's an energy in our bodies that say, oh my God, that's so sweet, you tried. Oh, that's not what I meant at all, sweetheart. Right? That's a nice, loving, compassionate energy. On the other end, we also have I can't believe you would effing do this again. Do you even listen to anything? Do you even know me at all? Like, why would you think that's what I wanted? Do you guys feel the difference between those two energies? Do you kind of sense how one is loving and compassionate and understanding, and the other one has that sense of resentment coming in, right? So we want to be careful. And this is part of our receiving block. So when we talk about this in reflection two, if you're following along here, what made receiving hard in that moment? What made it difficult to receive the underwear, the cute lacy underwear in that moment? I think for you, Colleen, it's probably expectation. It should look different. For some people, it's like, oh, I really want to date someone who is thoughtful and thinks of me. I mean, I see this all the time. And the next thing I know, I'm talking to her and she's saying, it's so much. He texts me every morning and I can't stand it. So this is kind of her habit of staying on guard, right? Like she's not used to having someone actually give her attention. Oh, great question. So the question is, what made receiving hard in the moment? So if we go back up here, think of a time when someone showed up for you. So in your example, Colleen, it was, hey, I want you to be more spontaneous. He said, here's some lacy underwear. You felt what in that moment, right? Did you feel frustrated, upset? Did you giggle? Did you laugh? Like, just did you feel disappointment, resistance, anything? That's where this is. Now we want to know what made receiving that gift hard. Because he said be more spontaneous and he was spontaneous. He's not wrong. So what made it hard? I meant to put something else here. Let's put this here. What made it hard for you? That's why I was saying it's expectation. It should look different. That's what I'm pretty sure was yours. Let me see here for Anna's. I remember one time my ex got my 6-pack of tissues as they were on a stupid cheap sale. He couldn't believe I was excited. It was excitement as in you thought of me and I knew it was something I needed and considered me. And of course, so okay. So you did love that. See, this is so cute because as you're telling the story, I couldn't actually tell if you loved it or not. And this is exactly the thing. Some people would love that and some people would not love that. And that's the best part. That sounds like kind of like an acts of service thing, which I love. And then, yeah, you say, OMG, that was my mom. She was very much WTF. Would you think that is acceptable? Although, let's be fair, a lot of men think women want a vacuum cleaner for their birthday. Okay, for the record, I do want a vacuum cleaner for my birthday, and I have been stating that I want the new Dyson. So now I feel offended. No, I'm just kidding. But like, no, I totally agree because there was another time for Valentine's Day, my ex-husband got me an alarm clock for Valentine's Day. With what he said to me was, well, now maybe you'll wake up on time. I was so pissed. I was so angry at that point in time. But like, yeah, he wasn't always the nicest either. So like, but like in that moment, what did I want? I wanted more romance. I wanted more connection. I wanted more lovey things for Valentine's Day. Think you need words? You can have them. Like have at him was what I mean. Like, please go yell at him. And I remember instead of being able to communicate clearly to him that, hey, I was a little bit disappointed about our Valentine's Day gifts this year. Do you think maybe next year we could do something a little bit more romantic? Instead, I was like, you mother effer, you don't even love me, right? You can see the difference of what's coming out in an unhealed, insecure, disorganized attachment type way versus what I could communicate now. And that's kind of the difference. So as we're looking at the blocks to receiving, I want to see, well, what feels true for you, right? Of these, what made receiving hard in that moment? Pick one of these, put it down here. And then what did I fear would happen if I fully let it land? So let's say, for example, Colleen, when I mean fully let it land, I mean like fully receive it, right? So let's say you received the lingerie, the cute, sexy undies. What are you afraid would happen if you said to him, oh my God, thank you so much. This is amazing. Because in my mind, I'm thinking what you might be afraid of is that it would happen again, that he wouldn't know who you are, that you couldn't actually accept it, things like that. Let me see what you said here. Very frustrating. I wanted him to show up emotionally, and he showed up with something to me feels like I'm working on the corner. I'm a mother of two small children and an adult child. I don't wear clothes like that. Gorgeous. So I love how you said I wanted him to show up emotionally. If we were to scroll all the way back up where we say, write down what you want without anything around it. So you said, I want you to be spontaneous. But what you actually meant was, I want you to show up emotionally. And even then, when we say that, we communicate that to the people that we love, I want you to show up emotionally. What does that even mean? And it's okay to get it wrong. That's why I want to say, like I said to my husband, I want you to love on me more. I want you to start bringing me more flowers. And so he started bringing me more flowers. And then I learned, oh shit, no, now I'm bored with this. So it's okay to change our minds even in the middle of an ask. We just have to communicate that with them and say, oh my God, I know how hard you've been working and I really did feel so loved. Also, I'm just learning that I don't really like these Friday flowers. I realized actually what I think I was really wanting was just to be thought about. Now I'm not feeling thought about, I'm feeling like a chore. And that's the difference. And that's how we have a continuous communicative collaboration with our partner throughout a relationship. He had a subscription. This man, that's really funny. He got a subscription to the sexy underwear. That's adorable. Oh my goodness. Although I will say to some women, again, which is why this is so great because each and every one of us wants something different, right? So to some women, they would say to their husbands, "Oh my God, can we please be more spontaneous?" And he gets a subscription to sexy underwear and they'd be like, "Yes, it's about damn time he understands me." So just to be clear, sometimes it's not going to land all the time. So what would happen if we did fully let it land? Maybe it's like, "Oh, he wouldn't know me well enough and I wouldn't be happy or wouldn't be satisfied." Great. So how do we go back? So we want to look at all of that. So let's look at this last little part of section 3, and then we're going to start putting it all together as we wrap up. And then we'll be open for questions at the end. But if I practiced receiving without grading or comparing, what might shift for me emotionally? If I practiced receiving, let me turn on our little music again. If I practiced receiving without grading, so we told him something. We said, I want this. And he got it for us. If you could receive that without grading or comparing, what might shift for you emotionally? Oh, yes, I would be more appreciative. Yeah. And with that appreciation, that feeling of appreciation instead of a feeling of resentment, that's how we can go back and continue the conversation. I would feel joy and peace. Yes. Yes. And again, I'm not saying then that means we can't tweak it or change it, because I could see how my husband was trying so hard with the flowers. He was. But it just wasn't hitting the way I had wanted it to be hitting anymore. So I told him that. Because it would be worse for me to just let him keep going and getting it on Fridays and not liking the flowers. What would it look like to let imperfect love still matter? What would it look like? What would your life look like if you let imperfect love matter to you? Oh, I love that. You guys go out for supper every Thursday, no kids. That's huge. A date night every week is so good. Especially if you like it. Not everyone wants a date night every week, maybe once a month. But what would it look like if you said, hey, I want to go out on a date, and then he planned something, but it wasn't quite what you wanted? What would it look like if you let that imperfect action matter to you? How might that influence your relationship? More appreciation for them trying. Yeah. And that more appreciation, do you think that's going to help or hurt your relationship? Help, yeah. So it would be helpful to our relationships if we let it in. If we let it be imperfect. This level of perfection that we have for ourselves, ladies, you know how we're breaking, a lot of us are breaking our perfectionism trauma that we have, where we expect ourselves to be perfect all the time and we have to be this certain way. I want us to extend this bubble out to the people that matter to us as well, that they are also not perfect. Imagine how often we change the goalpost on ourselves and how often we're not happy with ourselves. So, like, now imagine we ask for something from someone else. Of course, they're not going to give it to us exactly how we wanted it. We barely can give ourselves what we want. We're going to see their effort, we're going to receive it because we know we deserve it. That's the key here. So let's connect these 3 skills. Completing these sentences honestly. When I shame my wants, I tend to what? Beautiful. I'm going to write some of these down with you guys. We had shrink, feel sad, shut down, feel small, feel selfish. Beautiful. Those are all so real. Now, when I ask clearly, I notice that what? Great one, Kelly. I'm going to add that in. When I ask for something clearly, I notice that I feel relief, cry. Yeah. It's very normal to cry because when we're not used to asking for what we want clearly, it can be very overwhelming. Feel strong, empowered. Yes. It's also okay to feel scared, nervous. When I ask clearly, I notice that my voice shakes. Yeah. The more passionate, usually the more we do fill up. And that's okay. Remember, the tears are telling us something. They're not anything to be shamed about. Oh, I love that. Relieved. I love that, Kelly. That's so good. And when I allow love to land, right? When I receive it, how do I feel? When I allow love to land, how do I feel? Amazing, but scared. Yeah. Light, happy, safe. I feel myself personally, I feel loved, hopeful, joyful. I think scared is also real because look into that and really ask yourself, okay, think about that. When I allow love to land, I feel amazing, but also scared. So it makes sense that sometimes we don't always allow it to land. Part of that is our patterning, and that's okay. So now let's look at these. Which of these 3 feels hardest for you right now? You don't have to overthink it. Wanting without shame, asking clearly, or receiving. Which one of these? This feels hardest. Just have a think about that. We'll just write that one down. You can ask yourself, why do you think that is? But I'm going to move on to the closing reflection with us. Wanting without shame. That's beautiful. Yeah, I think that's a hard one too. And I think asking clearly is hard for a lot of people too, but also receiving. Letting it land is also really hard. I think sometimes I still struggle with that one. Just really letting it in. Yeah, clearly. Asking clearly. Yeah, I could see that, Lynette. Totally. And then you guys can have a think. Why do you think that is? You can kind of talk to yourself about it. And then let's close up. How about this? I want you guys to work on this tonight. Now that we've done all of the work together, I think these can be your journal prompts for your week. What is one desire I'm willing to treat with more respect moving forward? Something you want inside of yourself. What is one sentence you want to practice saying without apology? What is one way I can practice receiving this week, even if it feels uncomfortable? So I want you guys to think about those this week. These are your closing reflections that you can put in your journal prompts. You can think about them tonight as you fall asleep, but this is what I want you to really be putting everything we've done together. This is how I want you to be thinking about it moving forward. And our closing affirmation for tonight is I trust my desires, speak them clearly, and allow love to meet me. Beautiful, beautiful work tonight, ladies. I do want to open it up for any Q&A now at the end. I usually give us about a half hour afterwards. So please let me know any questions you have about. I'm so glad that it resonated, Colleen. You are such a beautiful inspiration tonight. Thank you for participating so much. I really loved having you on. Such great examples. It really helped out. And I could go back through and work through any part of the workbook with any of you guys right now, but I want to open this up to just a complete Q&A. So any relationship questions, anything that you have on your heart tonight. It seems I think it's yeah. I was like it's Academy ladies here, so any questions that you guys have even Academy related, it doesn't matter. It's all yours. This is your half hour. Use me as you wish. Lynette, did I see you unmute?
I'm trying to think how to. So when, like, I guess what's the difference of letting letting them be and come to you when they're ready versus, I guess, expressing your wants or needs? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if that makes sense.
Yeah, so how do you let them be and come to you when they're ready, but how do you also express? Well, what are they coming to you? Like, how do they know to come to you?
Hmm, probably because you have to let them know that
Hmm.
you're confused.
So there's the nuance.
That's
Right. So there's the nuance. First, you tell them the need, then you lean back and you wait.
Hmm.
But you
o-
can't lean back if there's nothing to lean back about. Because if you haven't told them,
Okay.
because otherwise now we're just asking them to read our minds.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay.
You can follow up to that if there's no, like, keep going if there's anything else more.
Yeah, it's just one of those like that you feel like there's something wrong, but you don't know.
Okay.
But I don't want to ask like the
So what's
question you asked.
so what's the need? That's the first step then. So this is good. See how we're breaking this down?
Probably it would be connection, I'm guessing. Or no, communication. Is that a need?
It can be. Yeah, it can be. So you think there's like something wrong with him. Why do you need to know?
Probably because we've been distant from each other.
So you think the reason you guys are distant is because there's something wrong with him?
Something that I did, probably. Maybe.
Keep going. You're getting there. Something that I did.
Yeah.
Hmm. So you think you're the reason why you guys are disconnected. It's your fault. You did something wrong.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm. So first, ask yourself, is it true?
The steps.
You're like, damn it, Jen.
Huh.
Because this is how we get to the place. If that's, you can ask him anything you want to ask him, but just make sure you're truly asking him for what you need and not a roundabout way of just trying to seek reassurance again because you think you did something wrong and so you're disconnected. If you think you're disconnected and you want connection, then ask for that.
Hmm.
If you think you did something wrong, then say, baby, did I do something wrong? And if he said no, then you have to trust him.
Okay, so it is okay to say something like, "Did I do something wrong?"
Mm-hmm. So long as you're okay with his response being no.
Yeah.
Even if it's not true, I don't care. He is allowed his autonomy to not tell you what's wrong with him. But if the reason why you want to know if you did something wrong is because what you're actually looking for is connection, then how would you get more connection with him?
Asking.
Mm-hmm. What would that look like to you? What does that even look like? Like, what would make you feel more connected to him?
Like normally we on a good night we'll we'll sit down and watch our TV shows or whatever. And yeah, before he'll tell me before he goes to bed or hug me or kiss me or something. And I haven't felt that. So yeah, he's been more
Okay.
on the computer with his gaming and all that. So yeah.
So, so of those, because there's a couple of different things there, which one is feeling most important to you right now? To ask if you could choose one thing to ask for, what would it be?
Mhm. More, yeah, togetherness, watching our shows.
Okay, so let's start there. How would you ask him to watch a show together?
Hey, baby, I have felt very disconnected from each other, and I would love to uh, watch some shows tonight together. Do you think we can do that?
Right. Now, let's make it even more clear and positive. So let me ask you this. If I say to you, Lynette, I feel disconnected from you and I want to hang out with you, does that make you feel good?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. So, and we don't have to have the qualifier. Just what do you want? Just ask that clearly and confidently. Babes, let's go watch a show.
Mm. Yeah.
Babes, I'm putting on Game of Thrones. Let's go. I don't know what you guys watch.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you know you want the connection, but that's going to give you the connection. So you don't need to necessarily tell him. We're just going to get clear and direct. Hey, you want to watch a show tonight? No, I'm going to play my video games. Okay. Well, I'd really love to connect with you this week. So how about tomorrow?
Hmm. But yeah, okay. To connect. Okay. Yeah, there's something there that's, yeah.
What's going on? Yeah, I hear your hmms. So what's like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, just the wound.
What's
Yeah.
the wound?
Something I did is causing this us the way we feel right now. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this question. This is good. And this is going to take us off on a slight side tangent because the needs. And Kay, I love your question in the chat. I'm totally going to comment on that too. But something you did is causing this disconnection. Why is it only you? Because the last time I checked, he's the other half of this relationship and he's not telling you what is that he needs. So why is this only on you?
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe he just needs some time and space away. Have you heard of the rubber band theory with men?
I feel like I've heard it, but I don't remember. Yeah.
They tend to stretch away from us. They tend to like need like space and doing their own thing and autonomy. And if we keep backing them up when they're in the rubber band, what do you think is going to happen to the rubber band? It's going
Yeah.
to snap.
Yeah.
But if they pull back and we just kind of let them, they'll come back to us. So maybe that's just what's going on right now. But if you truly, in your heart of hearts, believe the reason why he's pulling away is because you've done something wrong, that energy is going to be all over your relationship. So that's the very first thing you need to tidy up before you can ask for anything. So tonight, I want your somatic affirmations to talk about to your body, to your brain, all the ways that you're valued in this relationship, all the things you've done in this relationship, all the ways you're loved, and all the way he loves you. Because you need to see, even if you did do something, it's not like you did something wrong.
Hmm.
Even if you did do something to piss him off, he has to tell you that in order for you to know.
Hmm.
Because, like, imagine if I just started getting pissy at my husband because he's bringing me flowers every Friday. Is that fair to him that I'm getting upset with him? No, because why not? I haven't communicated. So maybe Brandon needs to come take this course with me too. He also needs to communicate clearly what he needs and wants. And so, listen, if this becomes a problem, I don't know how long this has been going on for, but if this is becoming a problem, then yes, we can go have a bigger conversation with him. But this is no longer now about connection or anything. This is about, I think I did something wrong. You're pulling away from me. What the F?
Hmm.
Right? This is now couples counseling again. This is back to like, you
Left
know,
talk, right?
yes. But if you can, if the need is reassurance, because it's sounding like it might be just based on your resistance, which I think is beautiful, because otherwise you're going to go in with a different sense of what you're actually asking for, which isn't true. So if your need is reassurance, of baby, I just feel like we've been, like not connecting lately. I don't know, we're just not watching shows and we're not hugging and kissing each other before we fall asleep at night, and I'm starting to make it feel like I did something wrong. Can you talk to me about this?
Hmm.
Like that's an okay conversation to be having. Because when we dug deeper, there was a lot deeper than just disconnection. There was, we are not connecting because I did something wrong. So it sounds like you need reassurance. But I would just, based on what I know about you and our coaching together, I would encourage you to, before you go to him with this, get very, very clear that you did nothing wrong.
Hmm.
Because what if what you did wrong was stand up for yourself? What if what you did wrong was talk back to grandma? What if what you did wrong was, what just came up there? That's okay. I love them. I love when there's tears. Tell me what's going on. Take a moment, feel where they're coming from.
Yeah, I don't think I did anything, but I feel it somehow because of when we don't talk. Yeah.
What if you did do something wrong to him? Like, what if you did? What if you're making his life more difficult? Is that okay?
It could be helping them grow, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because otherwise, what I'm hearing is the only way you guys are connected is if you do nothing wrong, which sounds a lot like perfectionism to me.
Mm.
The reason why we're not connected is because I did something wrong, AKA, we are not connected because I messed up. We are not connected because I am imperfect. I must be perfect in order for us to stay connected. Do you see what that's happening to your brain? So I want you to check in with yourself because you can ask him, baby, did I do something wrong? there's a hot chance he says yes. But I have a feeling whatever it is you did wrong, most likely was something you did for you, which isn't wrong. Maybe you drink one of his poppies again. Maybe you're just not letting grandma railroad you anymore. Maybe you're turning off cameras because you respect your privacy. Doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. If you want to go ask him this question, that's fine, but be prepared for the answer because he's about to tell you something you don't want to hear. Are you ready to hear it?
Probably need to wait a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So when do we know how to lean back or go forward? When you're ready. See that difference? Not when he's ready, it's when you're ready. When are you ready to go have that conversation in a fully regulated space to where he can say to you, you wear your hair in a ponytail and I like it better down. And he never said that, but I'm trying to think of other silly things to say. And you'd be like, oh, thank God it's just that. Okay, baby, tell me more.
I wish, yeah, that would be nice.
But what I'm saying is we do piss off our partners sometimes. But we can't go into that conversation expecting to then change who we are in order to get him connected again. You guys need to connect with you being completely who you are and him being completely who he is. So, might I just suggest just asking him to go watch a show with you? Don't worry about you did anything wrong. Don't worry about it. Also, he might just still be pissed off about the Super Bowl or something. You know what I mean? Lean back, let him pout. Men pout a lot. Don't fix his pouting. And watch a
Hmm.
show together tonight. Hey, babes, I want to watch Great British Baking Off show. I don't know what that show is. You want to watch it with me? And then he's going to say no. He's going to go play games in his dungeon. And it's going to hurt like hell. And you're going to go back up to this little thing and you're going to be like, oh, that's what's stopping me from just asking for little things. Because then I get rejected and I think I did something wrong. If I think I did something wrong, I think I fucked up my entire relationship. Oh, there's the story. Let him reject you so you can feel the feelings inside of you to work on them. Okay?
All right.
Beautiful. Thank you for bringing that to here.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you're welcome. I want to touch on something Kay asked because this is one of my favorite things to talk about, which is I thought communicating clearly would include I'm feeling disconnected. Ha. Yes and no. Here's why. It comes from the concept of nonviolent communication, which is talking about like I feel this way, so can we do this? Two things about this though. One, being disconnected, not a feeling statement. So you can't say I feel disconnected because being disconnected is not a feeling. In other words, you're saying we are disconnected. And if you say I feel disconnected, 9 times out of 10, what you're saying is you are disconnecting from me. So now understand how that someone might hear that. So if Lynette says to her husband, I feel disconnected because we haven't been watching a show together, what he's hearing is, I did something wrong again. And that's how we get their defenses up. And it's not the easiest way to get heard. That's why we want to get clear on our feeling statements. I feel sad. I feel disappointed. But then a life hack is when we communicate to people, we communicate in a solution oriented way. So if I said, even if you want to say feeling, I don't care. I mean, I still will always separate them because I think it's really important. But if you said, hey, I really want to feel connected to you tonight, come watch a show with me. Like that's so much better and more secure and honestly a little bit hot than being like, I feel so disconnected, baby, and I need you more. And like that's how we start to sound needy and expectation oriented and coming from a place of lack because we're coming from a problem space instead of a solution oriented space. So, one of the main things I always love talking about and teaching on is how we speak in a solution oriented way. The easiest way to do this is figure out your negative feeling and then just swap it. How would you feel if you did do this thing? Hey, baby, I would feel so happy right now. I'd feel so loved. I'd feel so excited. I'd feel so much joy. Oh, I would smile so much if we could go watch a show together. I really want to be connected with you this week. When can we watch a show together? And that stops us from covertly blaming our partner because this idea that we have somehow gotten in our society of saying, I feel unloved, I feel disconnected, I feel disrespected when you do this. It's just blame. It just really is. And if there's one thing I would just love is to cut our conversation out of doing it that way. And instead we could say, I'd feel so much joy if we could do this. And if we can't get to a place where we feel joy, then we're not at a place yet where we can ask. We're still in resentment mode and dysregulation mode, which means we need to get through that first. So let me know, Kay, does that help a little bit? Okay, perfect. Thank you for that question because it's one of my favorite things to teach on. Jen, why is the assumption generally first that we did something wrong? Because we were taught as children that we did everything wrong. Like just truth. I think especially as little girls, especially as women, there's a societal expectation that we are in charge of everyone's emotions around us. I don't really know where, or why, or how this became the thing, but it just kind of became the idea of, oh, mom's angry. Well, you made mom angry. What? Last time I checked, mom can handle her own emotions. Could you imagine if it was my son's fault that I was pissed off? Like, yes, he pisses me off, but those feelings are mine because he triggered something inside of me. But for so many generations, we've been projecting our own bullshit onto our children for so long that now we hold on to that. So we have this deep, deep belief that we are wrong, we are bad, we are dysfunctional, everything is our fault. So that's that wounding behind us. If we have a wound of I am bad or it is my fault, that wound is going to infiltrate everything it is that we do, we say, we act, we feel. It's the BTEA, right? Our beliefs, our thoughts, our emotions, our actions. If our belief is I am wrong, I am bad, then our thought is going to be I fucked up. Our emotions are going to be sadness or disappointment or frustration or anger, and our actions are going to be over justifying, fixing, perfectionism, whatever it is that that looks like. But that's where that assumption comes from because our assumption is that belief. And so many of us have that, which is fascinating because I genuinely don't have that anymore. It has been the weirdest feeling ever since I've really rewired and healed my mind, my subconscious, of understanding now that everything I do is not wrong. Some every once in a while, like depending on who I'm with, I'll be sitting in like a meeting or something like that. Something will fall. My brain will like have this old recollection of like, oh my God, I dropped that. I'm just sitting here. That's how deep it is. But now I can see like, oh, my son's upset or my husband's upset or my someone is upset. And I realize, oh, I'm not wrong, but I could have upset them. But because I know everything it is that I do is in alignment with who I am now, what I did and said was intentional, which means if I hurt someone else's feelings and they tell me, I'd be like, oh my God, thank you so much for telling me. But inherently, I'm not wrong. That's a very big difference. So, great question. Kay says, that has been my story. I tell myself, but I have been learning that he is responsible for communicating what is bothering him. I can't. Exactly. So often we think a relationship falls only on our shoulders, but it's not the case. And we so badly want to fix things so fast. But did you know sometimes in relationships, it can take up to 6 months to actually like resolve a conflict? Because when we're really leaning back and allowing our partners that space to figure it out for themselves, especially when we have an insecure partner, it takes a long time. But when we're secure in ourselves, it's okay because we know we've got years and years and years to go. So we'll let them figure it out. Like, Lynette, if you guys don't watch a show in all of the rest of February, who cares? Genuinely. Eh, go watch something else. Let them pout for like a month. Who cares? In the realms of things, if you guys are going to have the next 50 years together, what's a month? It's just kind of about learning to slow down and realizing, like, they can just go pout for a little while. Maybe they're mad at me because I didn't do something. Okay. Did I not do something? Did they tell me? No. So if they're mad at me, I will let them be until they tell me otherwise. I don't. Baby, if you're mad at me, you got to tell me. There's my need. And if I can't just say that clearly, right? And you can hear how when I'm saying it, there's no resentment, there's no vitriol, there's no contempt. It's just, oh, baby, I'm so sorry you're upset, but if you're mad at me, you got to tell me, my love. That would suck to feel so upset and think I'm doing all these things. I had no idea. What do you need in the future to tell me that? I like to ask my partner a lot, what do you need in order for that to happen? That's it's like a little hack, but that's like a little bit later. When you guys get used to asking your needs, you can start asking what their needs are. But I just want us to be careful because I don't want us to start meeting their needs before ours again. So like just nuance. Um, that helped a lot. Oh, good. I wonder if in the past generations ago, oh, Anna's getting deep now. I love a good philosophical conversation. We're supposed to be happy. The husband always blamed the kids because he wasn't home, so it must have. Yeah, it is an interesting thought. And I say just keep going with it because philosophical questions I think are fascinating, but there, you could also say in a patriarchal society, women are often responsible for men in a way that they shouldn't be. And so we've been made to believe that it's our responsibility to protect and love and care for and nurture. And now at the same time, we're also trying to get our own independence and we're trying to kind of branch away from the patriarchal society and have jobs and have our own lives and do all this stuff. But somehow we're still kind of held down in this other aspect. And so we're still made to believe we have to care for and nurture and do all of these things. And also work and live and love and be perfect. And because, I mean, come on, everyone knows the Barbie thing, right? We have to be pretty, but not too pretty. We have to make money, but we can't make too much money. We have to be nice to women, but we can't threaten women, right? There is this level of perfectionism that is created on top of us at all times. So no wonder we feel this way. That's why it is a big F you to society to break these wounds and to say, I will not be made to feel this way. I will always say when I'm wrong. If one of you came to me right now and said, Hey, Jen, something you did here hurt my feelings, I would say, Thank you for telling me. Because the less we're worried about being wrong, the more we can accept when we are. Does that kind of make sense? If we're not so afraid of getting things wrong all the time, we can actually have a more open heart, a more open mind to be able to say, Thank you. Can you tell me more? I'd love to know how I can meet you where you are. Maybe someone comes in here and they're like, Jen, I really hate these workshops. I really want them to be just with you and you can only talk to me and you messed this entire thing up and you talk to other people and I want you to only talk to me. Wow, thank you for telling me that. Right? I'm going over the top to make a point. Well, unfortunately, I can't have that in workshops, but you know what I could do? I could host a personal workshop just for you. Would you like me to set you up like an invoice for that? Do you see how now I'm working with them? Because I don't think I did anything wrong. I know in my heart of hearts, my alignment, I'm living in my best space, my authentic self. So if somebody comes at me, I can actually take the time to process through it. That's the difference. That's the goal. Beliefs, thoughts. Oh, beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and actions. BTEA. It's a thing from cognitive behavioral therapy. BTEA. Beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and actions. Our beliefs influence our thoughts, which influence our emotions, which influence our actions. That's why down here, if we have a belief of I am not enough, then we will act out in ways that where we try to prove we are. And then it oftentimes doesn't feel in alignment with who we are because we're so badly trying to prove this wound and belief over here. It's the orange bush concept, right? If I called Lynette an orange bush, she would have no thoughts, emotions, or actions that influence that. But do you mind, Lynette, if I say something mean? Sorry. If I say to Lynette, you're ugly. Why do you look so ugly today? Ew. Oh, God, I hate it. I hate when I have to be mean in order to prove a point. It really does. I really don't like it. But because if Lynette had a belief that she's ugly, then her thought is going to be, "Oh my God, I can't believe Jen would say that." Like now, I'm only going to call this out because I just saw it, but I saw you touching your hair, and so now I'm wondering if like, right? Like, I'm sorry, but I just had to call it out. Of like, you're probably like, "Oh shit, do I look ugly? Oh fuck." Like, for the record, you don't. Your hat is adorable. I love your glasses and that color of your shirt. What like this green blue thing is like really cute. I love it to death. I could go ugly because I feel like I hope you know you're not ugly. But do you see how that is? Like the belief is I'm ugly, so there's something wrong with me. The thought is, oh no, I'm not going to be loved. I'm ugly. This always happens. The emotion is sadness and despair, and so the action is what? Like maybe lashing out, maybe shutting down, maybe trying to prove yourself, and then overburdening yourself and burning out. That's how that kind of works. Let's see. I don't have that long. Okay. You have like 6 months still, okay. You've got lots of time, girl. You still have got like a good 20 years. So like in 6 months in the realms of things. That's still older than my son is, and he feels like he's lived a lifetime. Yeah, but you're still waiting. Fair. Okay, fair. Let's see. And if we're waiting for too long, then we just have to let them go, unfortunately. That's the hard part. That's the actual hard part. There's no 100% answer. Yeah, there is. There's never a 100% answer to those kind of philosophical questions, Anna. Because that's the thing, we never really know, but we can always kind of get an idea. We can start to see of where it comes from, and we can start to track back and see our patterns of like, okay, where did this come from? So like in my family, and let's see, I'm trying to figure out. I'm intentionally checking how much of my story I want to share. Do you see what I'm doing right now? So in my family, I was often blamed for a lot of things, but on top of family dynamics, I also have abuse that happened to me as a child. But oftentimes, when you're abused as a child, you're told it's your fault. No one would believe you if you tell anyone. You're doing this to yourself. Why do you keep going around them? Right? Different things like that. So there's this belief that comes up in your brain of like, oh, this must be my fault. It is my fault. I did this to myself. It's not true. But when you are reinforced that over and over and over and over and over again, it can start to happen. So I want you guys to just kind of check in your own patterns, check in your own lives, and just kind of see where might this be coming from? Why might I believe it's my fault? When was I made to feel like the emotions of my family landed on me? Because I want to tell you right now, it's just not true. How you act and behave and all this stuff, you can influence people, of course. We live in a collaborative society. Of course, we're going to influence one another. If one of you guys come in here right now and you're in a really bad mood, and every single time I ask if anyone has a question, you're just unmuting yourself and going, life fucking sucks, Jen. And I'm like, okay, then can we not? Like, yes, the way you act does influence other people. This is true. But in a healthy community and society, I would be able to say to you, hey, sweetheart, it looks like you're having a really tough time right now. Do you mind if I ask you to maybe take this somewhere else so I can keep going? See how now with my boundaries, I'm able to to box that in to an extent and then go have a conversation with that person outside. If we can all be acting in this communicative, clear, secure way, we do a benefit to everyone, genuinely speaking. That's the benefit. So I was blamed for a lot of things, then told to get over it. Exactly! Because of course they want you to get over it so they could just keep blaming you. Isn't that wild? It's wild how I did that. Okay. I did notice the time. It has been 2 hours, and you guys are fantastic. And you know I could be on here talking to you forever. I love workshops. I love doing these once a month. I know they're much more intense. So it means so much to me that you guys come in to do these because I think this is really where we start to shift a lot of this stuff. So great questions. Great work today. You can use the workbook at any time to just go back through them again for yourself if you want to. And I'm going to figure out a way to put this workshop up in the academy to be able to have it be another course. So you can go back through this at any time. Because remember, life is all about repetition. It's all about we learn something, we try to implement it, we don't remember everything at all, and we learn it again later. A lot of what I even said tonight, you'll probably have noticed I've said in other forms, whether it be in podcast or in the dance of attachment course or the book or other workshops, because it's all the same concept. I'm just repurposing and packaging it in ways that we can constantly keep rehearing it. So that way we learn because it's all about repetition. There's no physical way for you to learn everything one go. So it's about take one piece from tonight, just one piece that you want to start working on, and then have that be your intention for this week. So maybe your just intention is I just want to speak more clearly. Maybe your intention is I just want to be okay with my desires. I just want to learn how that they're okay. It's okay that I want a lot. Because in that learning of how many needs, maybe you do feel needy. Maybe you're just like, Jen, I don't know. I can't be in a relationship because I need him to meet every one of my needs. I need reassurance all the freaking time. I need him to be near me. I literally want to unzip his skin and crawl into his body. That is how needy I am. I would say, good. Thank you for noticing that about yourself. Now let's work backwards and see how can we get some of those needs met on your own. But it's through understanding that about yourself is how we get there in the first place. So please don't judge it. Just observe. It's a beautiful, beautiful work tonight. Any last minute thoughts or questions before we wrap up? Otherwise, I will say goodbye, but feel free to unmute, say anything real quick as you pop off. Also, Anna, I just read that my sisters act like if shit comes up. You are just such the scapegoat for your family. It's actually wild sometimes. You're like the quintessential scapegoat, which then we see pattern throughout your life, even within your work and potentially in your relationships too. So I feel like this pattern of you being the scapegoat is going to be the very thing that changes like who you become as you grow and become more secure. I'm just so excited for you not to be the scapegoat anymore in friend groups and for you to just tell them to go F off. This excites me for you. You're so welcome, Kay. Thank you for coming in. Hope you're doing well. I'll see you guys tomorrow night, okay? All right, bye.